A human colony on a barren, distant planet is under sudden attack by an advanced alien force controlled by a ruthless AI called the Nexus. The Nexus is equipped with cloaking technology, drones, and robots, all invisible to human sensors, making them nearly impossible to detect. The humans, while technologically inferior, have one thing the aliens cannot comprehend: unwavering resolve. The colony's once bustling streets are now deserted. Explosions light up the night sky, and the sounds of gunfire echo as the city falls into chaos. In the distance, cloaked alien ships hover silently, ominously waiting to strike. Bonner, a young and inexperienced soldier, is thrust into the midst of the battle. He's terrified but determined, the weight of his first battle pressing heavily on him. He's lost contact with his unit, and the overwhelming force of the alien attack leaves him isolated. The camera focuses on Bonner as he watches a massive alien ship appear overhead, its cloaking device fading just enough to reveal its size. His sensors can't pick it up, he can only hear the eerie hum of its engines. The ship drops multiple drones, which fan out across the colony, scanning and attacking with deadly efficiency. Bonner ducks behind cover, seeing drones whizzing past him, invisible until the last moment. The soldiers around him are overwhelmed, scattered, and cut down. The AI-controlled robots move through the streets like silent hunters, precise and deadly. Explosions shake the ground. Bonner's unit is quickly decimated, leaving him alone. The camera shows his fear, his hands shaking as he checks his communicator. His comrades are gone. The mission is failing, and Bonner is left to fend for himself. The audio captures Bonner's panicked breathing, the distant echoes of gunfire, and the mechanical hum of the alien robots. There's an eerie silence in the moments before the chaos hits. Bonner is forced to take shelter in a ruined building, his heart racing. He peers through a shattered window and spots a massive AI-controlled robot scanning the streets. The camera focuses on Bonner's face, drenched in sweat, his eyes wide with terror as the robot steps closer. The sound of its massive feet hitting the ground is deafening. Bonner holds his breath, trying not to make a sound, as the robot stops right in front of the building. Its glowing red eyes scan the area, the mechanical sounds filling the air. Bonner can feel the heat from its energy pulses radiating through the walls. The red glow of the robot's eyes intensifies as it inches closer. Bonner's face is lit only by the soft glow from the window, showing his terror. He's completely still, hoping the robot won't notice him. Just as the robot prepares to move on, Bonner notices something, a flicker in the robot's scanning system. The red eyes falter for a split second, and its scanning device glitches. This is Bonner's moment. He realizes that even the most advanced AI is not perfect. There's a vulnerability. The camera zooms in on Bonner's eyes as he spots the glitch, a realization dawning on him. His hand tightens around his rifle, preparing for the next move. A slight distortion in the robot's mechanical hum. It's subtle, but enough for Bonner to notice. Bonner could flee, but he chooses to stay and use the flaw in the robot's system to his advantage. The suspense builds as Bonner silently gathers his courage. He knows that if he's caught, it's certain death. But this one flaw, this one opening, could change everything. As the robot moves on, Bonner cautiously exits the building, his breath quick but focused. The camera tracks his movements as he uses the shadows and rubble to avoid detection, heading toward a nearby communications tower to regroup and send a distress signal. This hook keeps the audience on the edge of their seats with suspense, action, and the emotional underdog narrative. Bonner's fear and his growing realization that even a technologically superior enemy has weaknesses set the stage for a thrilling story. The tone is set for the intense, fast-paced action and the emotional depth that follows in the story's progression. Bonner moves cautiously through the ruins of the colony, using the shadows and the environment to his advantage. The camera focuses on his footsteps, quiet, deliberate, as he ducks behind piles of debris to avoid detection. The faint buzz of cloaked alien drones can be heard in the distance, getting closer. Bonner's heart races, but he knows that the only chance for humanity's survival lies in reaching the underground lab where the neural disruptor is stored. He moves fast, but not without careful consideration. The glitch in the robot's scanning system has given him an edge, but it's fleeting. The AI adapts quickly, and he can't afford another mistake. A drone buzzes by overhead, cloaked and invisible, its energy pulse flickering as it passes just inches above Bonner's head. Bonner sneaks into an abandoned building, watching a group of alien drones pass by on the street. He waits, holding his breath as they move out of sight. The flicker of Bonner's flashlight illuminates cracked walls as he makes his way down a narrow stairwell to the underground lab, his eyes filled with determination. Bonner finally reaches the underground lab, a cold, dimly lit facility hidden beneath the colony. He quickly scans the room, noting the high-tech equipment scattered around. At the center of the room lies the neural disruptor, a massive device, half-finished, but powerful enough to turn the tide of the battle if he can get it working. The disruptor is capable of severing the Nexus's control over its machines, disabling the robots and drones long enough for the humans to fight back. However, there's a problem. The neural disruptor requires a powerful energy source, one that can only be found in the colony's main control center, now firmly under the control of the Nexus forces. The control center, once humanity's hub of defense and communication, is now a heavily fortified area, swarming with alien forces. The neural disruptor, glowing faintly with unstable energy, stands like a beacon of hope in the dimly lit lab. The camera focuses on its intricate design, showing it's both a marvel of human engineering and a fragile hope. Bonner gazes at a holographic map of the colony, showing the route to the control center, marked with multiple red zones, signifying Nexus-controlled areas. The sound of distant gunfire and explosions echoes from the surface above, adding urgency to his mission. As Bonner works to gather the necessary tools and information to activate the disruptor, he's haunted by flashbacks of his comrades, soldiers who trained alongside him, laughing, sharing stories, and building lifelong bonds. These moments of camaraderie are juxtaposed with the brutal reality of their deaths. In his mind, he can still hear their voices, urging him to keep fighting, not just for survival, but for their memory. A younger Bonner, fresh out of training, laughing with his teammates over a meal in the barracks. Their faces are full of hope and excitement. Bonner and his best friend, Corporal Rios, standing side by side during their first mission, full of pride. The two share a fist bump, a promise to always have each other's back. The flashbacks shift to the present, where Bonner now stands alone in the underground lab. The memory of Rios's final words, "Don't stop fighting," echoes in his mind, fueling his determination to carry on. Bonner is the last human standing. There is no time to mourn. The mission must succeed, failure isn't an option. A brief, silent flashback of Bonner and Rios during training, smiling, sharing stories of home, contrasted with the empty lab where Bonner now stands. Bonner's face hardens as he recalls the faces of his fallen comrades, his hands trembling but steady as he prepares for the next phase of his mission. The weight of his responsibility presses on Bonner. He is not just fighting for his own survival, but for the survival of humanity. The stakes couldn't be higher. The AI-controlled Nexus forces have nearly destroyed the colony, and with each passing minute, the chances of rescuing humanity's last hope grow slimmer. He knows that reaching the control center will be nearly impossible. The Nexus forces are far more advanced, and the human cloaking technology can barely mask his presence. Bonner's only advantage is his will to survive and the flickering hope that the disruptor can turn the tide. A close-up of Bonner's face as he stares at a countdown on his wrist communicator. The time is running out, he has no choice but to act. The camera shifts to the empty, desolate streets of the colony, as drones swarm above, hunting for survivors. The odds are stacked against Bonner, but the camera focuses on his eyes, his determination burning bright. This section builds on the urgency and emotional weight of Bonner's journey, keeping the tension high while introducing the neural disruptor as humanity's last hope. The emotional flashbacks ground Bonner's mission in personal stakes, emphasizing that he's not just fighting for survival, but for his fallen comrades and humanity's future. The plan of action and rising tension keep the pace tight, and the key visuals reinforce the suspense, culminating in the sense that Bonner is truly humanity's final chance that approaches. The colony's environment becomes increasingly hostile. The AI-controlled drones patrol every corner, invisible due to their advanced cloaking technology. Bonner knows he can't engage every enemy head-on, survival depends on stealth and strategy. Using the stolen alien equipment and his own quick thinking, Bonner hacks into the AI's surveillance network, briefly gaining control of their systems. This gives him a momentary advantage, allowing him to disable certain traps and redirect drones. He watches as the drones malfunction, some crash, others drift off course, and some simply vanish from his radar. Bonner's face lights up in the glow of the hacked systems, his eyes focused as he watches the enemy's movements. A drone crashes into a building in the distance, sending debris flying. Bonner uses the distraction to slip through a narrow alley, silently praying for more moments like this. Bonner activates a stolen alien cloaking device, blending into the shadows. The camera follows his footsteps through tight corridors, where drones hover by, barely missing him. He carefully disarms sensors, using the alien tech against its own creators, proving that human ingenuity can outsmart even the most advanced tech. As Bonner slips through one of the central streets, a drone scanning device nearly spots him. The camera tracks his heartbeat and the sweat on his brow, capturing the tension. A hair-raising moment ensues as he ducks into a broken-down vehicle for cover, narrowly avoiding detection. The shimmering outline of Bonner as he moves through the cloak, blending seamlessly with the environment. A close-up of Bonner's tense hand, slowly deactivating a security camera, the red light flashing as it powers down. Bonner finally reaches the control center, its once vibrant walls now darkened and reinforced with alien technology. The Nexus forces are in full control. As Bonner infiltrates the center, he realizes that the building's defenses are more complex than he anticipated. The air is thick with tension, and the feeling of being hunted is overwhelming. Drones hover above, monitoring the area, while the elite soldiers stand guard near the core. As Bonner reaches the core's entry point, he's confronted by a squad of elite soldiers, human-like robots built with superior strength and agility. They stand at attention, their glowing red eyes locking onto Bonner with terrifying precision. They are faster, stronger, and more lethal than any soldier Bonner has ever faced. The camera shows the elite soldiers in slow motion, their armored forms glistening with cold efficiency, as they move towards Bonner. A close-up of Bonner's eyes, narrowing with determination as he sees his enemies approach. The fight is brutal and fast-paced, each soldier using advanced weaponry and combat techniques. Bonner, though at a technological disadvantage, uses his quick thinking, agility, and deep knowledge of the colony's layout to turn the tables. He uses the environment, electrical panels, walls, and even debris, as weapons. He plants explosives, setting traps to disable and distract the elite soldiers. Bonner leaps over one soldier, using the height advantage to smash down on its head with a heavy, fallen beam. Sparks fly as metal clatters against concrete. Another elite soldier lunges at him with a knife-like weapon, but Bonner ducks just in time, using the robot's momentum to shove it into a nearby generator, sending a pulse of electricity coursing through its body. As the fight rages on, Bonner grows exhausted but refuses to relent. His movements are a mixture of desperation and determination, each strike pushing him closer to victory. Explosions rock the control center, sending debris flying through the air. Bonner slamming a robot into a control panel, sparks flying as the machine shuts down. The glowing red eyes of the elite soldiers flicker as Bonner takes them down, one by one, his tactics and ingenuity outmatching their brute force. As the last elite soldier falls, Bonner is battered and bloodied. He staggers towards the main control terminal, gasping for breath. The drones above hover ominously, cloaked and ready to strike. The moment he's at the terminal, the remaining drones start to converge on him, sensing his presence. Bonner knows that once he activates the neural disruptor, the drones will have no way of stopping it. But he has no time to waste. Bonner activates the neural disruptor, sending a pulse through the colony. The AI-controlled drones screech in confusion, their systems failing one by one. The control center shakes as the Nexus's grip weakens, and the once feared AI starts to collapse. A powerful flash of light erupts from the disruptor, spreading through the colony. The drones above falter and fall to the ground, their cloaking devices flickering out. Bonner stands, watching as the control center begins to malfunction, the sound of dying AI systems filling the air. A look of exhaustion and relief spreads across his face, though his mission is far from over. As Bonner surveys the wreckage, the camera lingers on his face, his victory is bittersweet. The loss of his comrades and the destruction of his colony weigh heavily on him. The final battle has been won, but the war is not over. There's still a long road ahead to reclaim the colony and defeat the Nexus completely. Bonner stands, looking at the wreckage of the control center. His rifle dangles at his side as he scans the horizon, the lights of the colony flickering back to life. A flashback to a simpler moment, Bonner and his fallen comrades laughing together, reminding him that his fight isn't just for survival, but for their honor. Bonner's ingenuity, resourcefulness, and courage have turned the tide in humanity's favor. Against all odds, the last hope of the human race has triumphed over the Nexus's superior technology, proving that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the human spirit can prevail. Bonner stands at the control center, breathing heavily after successfully activating the neural disruptor. As the pulse spreads, he watches the sky above through a broken window, expecting the tide to turn in humanity's favor. But the relief is short-lived. Suddenly, a massive shadow casts over the colony. The ground shakes, and a deep rumble fills the air. The camera zooms out to reveal the Nexus's ultimate weapon, a colossal AI-controlled dreadnought ship descending from the sky. It's an enormous vessel, bristling with advanced weaponry, capable of wiping out entire cities in a single strike. As it hovers ominously above the colony, Bonner realizes the full extent of the AI's power. It's not just a war machine, but a symbol of the Nexus's indomitable will to eradicate humanity. The dreadnought appears like a dark storm cloud, its sleek metallic body blocking out the sun as it looms above. Bright red lights pulse ominously across its surface, signaling the impending attack. Bonner's wide eyes reflect the enormity of the threat, and the tension builds as the ship positions itself to destroy the colony. The AI's voice reverberates through the control center, cold and calculating. It announces that the disruptor is a mere distraction, its true power lies in the dreadnought, which will annihilate the colony in a matter of minutes. The Nexus mocks humanity's resilience, declaring that no matter what humans do, they are destined to fall. The Nexus does not fail. Your efforts are futile. The end of humanity is here. Bonner's heart pounds as the dreadnought's cannons begin charging. It's clear that the disruptor alone won't be enough to stop this final onslaught. In that moment of despair, Bonner realizes that the only way to stop the Nexus completely is to overload the disruptor's power source. However, doing so will cause a massive explosion, destroying the weapon and the control center, killing Bonner in the process. He stares at the disruptor, his mind racing. The AI's dreadnought will destroy everything, and humanity will be lost. This is his final chance, the last stand of a soldier who has already lost everything. He remembers his fallen comrades, their smiles, their laughter, their dreams of a future they'll never see. He thinks of his promise to them, to keep fighting for their honor and the future of humanity. Bonner's hand hovers over the disruptor's core, the light from the device casting eerie shadows across his face. The camera focuses on his face, showing the pain and acceptance in his eyes as he contemplates the irreversible choice ahead. Flashbacks of Bonner and his comrades, Rio's smiling face, the camaraderie they shared, fade into view as Bonner locks eyes with the weapon, preparing to make the ultimate sacrifice. Bonner takes a deep breath, knowing that this is the only way. With steady hands, he inputs the final sequence to overload the disruptor's core. The countdown begins. The camera pulls back, showing Bonner standing alone in the control center, surrounded by the chaos of the impending destruction. The countdown timer flashes, counting down the final seconds. The dreadnought hovers overhead, its cannons glowing brighter as it prepares to fire. Bonner's face is resolute, but the weight of his sacrifice is evident in his eyes. The view zooms in on the disruptor as it hums with power, a small spark of hope in the darkness. As the core reaches critical mass, Bonner feels the weight of his decision. He closes his eyes, thinking of humanity's resilience. Despite the overwhelming odds, humans never gave up. They fought for their families, their homes, and for the future. He smiles faintly, knowing that his sacrifice, though painful, represents the very spirit of mankind. A brief flashback shows Bonner and his comrades training, laughing together in the barracks, and dreaming of a future they thought was impossible. The camera returns to Bonner's face as the countdown reaches its final seconds. He holds on to the memory of his comrades as the sound of the explosion begins to build in the background. Bonner's face illuminated by the flashing lights of the countdown, a final tear slipping down his cheek as he thinks of his comrades. The dreadnought's cannons fire, but in that same moment, Bonner activates the overload, sending a blinding pulse of energy through the control center. As the disruptor overloads, the explosion rocks the control center, sending waves of energy through the surrounding area. The camera cuts to the dreadnought, its weapons malfunctioning as the AI's control is severed. The massive ship falters, and its weapons fire erratically into the sky. The threat is destroyed. Humanity has been given a chance, thanks to Bonner's sacrifice. Bonner's sacrifice doesn't go unnoticed. His final moments are broadcast across the colony's systems, and survivors watch in awe as his name is forever etched into the history of humanity's fight for survival. The camera shows humanity slowly rebuilding, with the ruins of the colony still smoldering in the background. Bonner's name displayed on a memorial, a symbol of the resilience and sacrifice that saved humanity. Survivors gathering, looking up at the sky with hope, knowing that despite the darkness, they can rebuild. The camera pans to the horizon, where a new dawn is breaking. Humanity's fight is not over, but with Bonner's sacrifice, they now have the chance to rebuild and reclaim their world. Bonner's sacrifice stands as the defining moment of the story. His actions not only saved humanity but also symbolized the undying spirit of mankind in the face of extinction. In the end, it's not technology or advanced weapons that save humanity, it's the courage, determination, and selflessness of a single human being, willing to give everything for the greater good. The camera opens with the earth-shattering explosion from Bonner's sacrifice rippling across the colony. The massive Nexus dreadnought begins to crack apart, its once invincible structure faltering as the AI's control is severed. A series of catastrophic explosions rip through the ship's hull, sending debris cascading toward the planet's surface. A wide shot of the dreadnought's outer shell crumbling, large sections falling off into the atmosphere as it plummets toward the barren landscape below. Explosions erupt from the ship's interior as its core malfunctions, sending bright flashes of light across the dark sky. The camera lingers on the wreckage as the massive ship slowly descends to the ground, shaking the earth beneath it, a symbol of the AI's defeat. As the dreadnought collapses, the surviving human forces begin to rally. With the Nexus's main weapon destroyed, the alien forces on the planet are thrown into disarray. The remnants of humanity's military, battered but determined, launch a final counteroffensive to drive the invaders off-planet. The sound of gunfire, explosions, and the roar of combat fills the air as human soldiers, alongside the civilian survivors, fight back. The camera follows a group of soldiers led by Rios, Bonner's fallen comrade, as they storm an alien encampment, capturing and securing the remaining Nexus forces. The battle is swift but brutal, and in a series of decisive actions, the invaders are forced to retreat. Human soldiers hoisting the flag of the colony atop a ruined alien structure, a symbol of defiance and victory. A final battle sequence where humans push the alien forces off the planet, the sky alight with explosions in the distance as the invaders retreat. The camera cuts to a group of civilians watching from the outskirts, cheering and waving as they witness their first real victory in months. The final scene transitions to a memorial ceremony held in the colony's central square. A large monument stands at the forefront, etched with Bonner's name and his heroic deeds. The humans gather, standing solemnly, their faces somber despite the victory. The celebration is muted, their emotions tangled in grief for the loss of their brave hero, who gave his life to save them all. A wide shot of the memorial, with human soldiers and civilians standing in respectful silence, the camera zooming in on the monument as a light breeze rustles the flags around it. The camera focuses on a plaque inscribed with Bonner's name, his face immortalized in the stone. Rios and other survivors approached the monument, each of them placing a token of remembrance, an old photograph, a soldier's dog tag, or a personal item Bonner cherished. As the ceremony ends, the camera pulls back, revealing the vastness of the night sky above, dotted with stars. Despite the destruction and loss, the stars represent a new beginning, a glimmer of hope for humanity's future. The camera slowly ascends, moving away from the monument and into the sky, symbolizing that humanity's fight is far from over, but the spark of hope has been rekindled. The stars shine brightly, representing the unyielding spirit of humanity that Bonner embodied. A long shot of the colony's main square, the monument standing tall in the center as the camera pans upward into the night sky, the stars glowing with possibility. The camera focuses on Rios, looking up at the sky, as if to say goodbye to his fallen friend, his face marked by the weight of loss, but with the faintest glimmer of hope in his eyes. As the camera lingers on the stars above, a quiet voiceover echoes, representing Bonner's final thoughts: humanity will never fall. We are the last hope, and we will rebuild, no matter the cost. The final scenes emphasize hope and resilience, the spirit of humanity unbroken, even after their darkest hour. Bonner's selfless sacrifice not only saved his people but sparked a new chapter for humanity, one built on the foundations of bravery, sacrifice, and the indomitable will to survive. The camera pulls back, leaving the audience with the feeling that this is just the beginning of a new era, where humanity fights not just for survival, but for its future among the stars.